Level 1, Module 7 of the Rising Star Certificate, Sensing the Future. If you, the leader, are not focused on maintaining the competitiveness of your business, nobody else is. Analyzing change can be overwhelming. Where do you start? Research has established that when you are thinking about the future of your business, it helps a lot to focus on two simple things: the core activities of your business and the core assets of your business. What are core activities? They are all the things you do to make your business successful. Your processes, your behaviors, your systems. What are core assets? They are all the things you have to own in order to make your business successful. Tangible things like your office, your plant, your equipment, as well as intangible things like your brand, your reputation, your track record. Considering everything you know today, are the things you do threatened? Are the things you own threatened? You can peek into the future through the lens of this 2x2 matrix. Are your core activities and assets threatened today? Are your core activities and assets likely to be threatened in the future? Now you may ask the question, what exactly does threatened mean? If a customer does not need to touch your core activities, they are threatened. If a customer does not need to touch your core assets, they are threatened. Research gives us some powerful insight about change and how to manage it. Different kinds of change demand different strategic choices. So if you take a look at the 4 quadrants of this 2x2 matrix, each quadrant demands a separate response. At the top left, where what you do as well as what you own is threatened, run like hell. Find something else to do, because what you're doing right now is not working. The things you do are threatened. The things you own are also threatened. Bottom right, neither what you do is threatened, nor what you own is threatened. In this quadrant, listen carefully to your customer, pay attention to your customer, serve your customer's evolving incremental needs. In the top right, where what you do is not threatened, but what you own is, focus on redeveloping your assets and resources. And finally, on the bottom left, when what you do is threatened, but what you own is not, be nice. Pay attention to your relationships. Now, these concepts are rather abstract, so let's try to make them more concrete. Let's nail these concepts down by walking you through some case examples that you will never forget. Starting again on the top left. What does a travel agency do, and what does a travel agency own? A travel agency answers the telephone, listens to your information about destination and dates of travel, queries a password-protected customer computer base, comes up with a proposed itinerary, gets your approval, takes your credit card information, issues the ticket. Notice every single item on this list that I just gave you is an item that you could accomplish on your own without having to touch a travel agency. What does a travel agency own? They own an office, they own a brand name, they own a computer system, password protected access to a computer database, credit card equipment, ticket issuing equipment. None of the items on this list are things that you need to touch. Both what the travel agency does and what it owns are threatened. Therefore, it is no surprise to anyone that travel agencies have gone out of business. Now let's take a look at the bottom right. If you had a package 6 foot by 3 foot by 2 foot weighing 350 pounds, and you had to get it from Cincinnati to Dayton today, it is inconceivable that you could do it without touching what a long-haul trucking company does and what a long-haul trucking company owns. What do? They show up, they pick up your package, they load it on the truck, they transport it, they unload it, they deliver it. What do they own? They own the truck, they own the license, they own a brand name, they own a reputation, and you really cannot accomplish what you need to accomplish without touching both what they do and what they own. So change for a long-haul trucking company is amounting to change that may be disruptive, it may be disturbing, but it's change that they can handle. Top right quadrant. What does a motion picture studio do? And what does a motion picture studio own? To make a blockbuster, you have to gain the rights to a book or a screenplay. You have to find a producer who will raise the funding. You have to hire a director who will go out and recruit a set of actors. They will then go to a studio or to a location. They will shoot the movie, edit the movie, prepare it for distribution. Every single item on this list of things that a motion picture studio does, you would have to do if you wanted to make a blockbuster. But what do they own? They own a brand name, they own a reputation, and until recently, they used to own celluloid film. Until 10 years ago, a movie was a set of reels of celluloid film on which the images of the movie were imprinted. Today, a movie is a digital file on a server. Everything that a motion picture studio owns is threatened because you can do without it. In fact, I challenge you to remember the name of the motion picture studio that produced the last movie that you saw in a multiplex. 10 years ago, the answer to that question was simple. 20th Century Fox, Warner Brothers, Disney, Paramount. It's just about a handful of names. Today, there are tens of thousands of motion picture studios, and most of them are constantly thinking about redeveloping their assets, how to crowdsource, how to crowdfund, where to distribute, whether to put it on Netflix, whether to put it on streaming on demand. So they're constantly trying to figure out new ways to develop assets that are relevant in a changing economic landscape. Bottom left, car dealers. What does a car dealer do? A car dealer answers the telephone, listens to your description of the car you're looking for, queries an inventory data sheet, comes back to the phone and tells you, yes, I have the car, then tells you a price, then you negotiate the deal. Everything on the list that I just read out is an activity that you can do on your own without touching a car dealer. But what does the car dealer own? The car dealer owns the brand name, the location, the inventory, and no matter how you selected the car, and no matter how you found it, no matter how you negotiated the deal, in the end, you have to show up. So what the car dealer does is threatened, but what the car dealer owns is not. You probably noticed that car dealers are very nice. They are nice because they're paying a lot of attention to their relationships. Because in this corner, in this quadrant of the 2x2 matrix, relationships are fragile. That car dealer knows that the next car is just a mouse click away. So what is your challenge? Your challenge is to answer the question, where does my business sit on this 2x2 matrix? Your challenge is to answer the question, is my business more like a travel agency? Or is it more like long-haul trucking? Is it like a motion picture studio? Or is it more like a car dealer? To answer the question, are you threatened now and will you be threatened in the future? You must learn to track and evaluate trends. And that is the subject of the second video in your action learning for this model. Thank you.